Hi, my name is Trisha, and I am posting this on YouTube because I have some concerns that I think other people have concerns about also, because I have done some looking around on the internet and found that there are a lot of people like me that do have some concerns about what is going on. My name is Trisha, and I had a gastric bypass February 8th of 2008. Since February 8th of this year, I have lost 126 pounds, which is a great amount of weight to lose in such a short amount of time. However, isn't that what the gastric bypass is for? Since having my gastric bypass, I have had 4 seizures, all grand mal. I had one in May of this year. I had one in July. I had one in September. And I had one in October. They're becoming more frequent. I am up to 2,000 milligrams of Keppra a day. I have spoke to my neurologist, whom I will not mention his name. I have had the EEG. I've had the MRI. Everything came back normal. I do not have epilepsy. I do not have a family history of epilepsy. No one in my family has ever had epilepsy. I have a brother who has had a gastric bypass and is about 3 years out, and he does not have these issues. My problem, and the reason I'm putting this out there for people to respond to, is I have seen Melting Mama's site. I have seen everything she's done. And I've seen that there are a lot of people out there that do have seizures after gastric bypass. Most of them not as soon after gastric bypass as mine. I've seen some of the, ideas that Melting Mama has thrown out there, that caffeine could be one of them. It could be. I have no idea. My neurologist has thrown out there that it could be infections. It could be. I have no idea. My neurologist did say one thing to me, which makes sense. He finally admitted that he's about 95% sure that the reason I'm having seizures is because of the gastric bypass. One of the things that he thought, as well as my gastric bypass surgeon thought, was that maybe the reason I was having these seizures is because of low blood sugar. So I had to poke myself 8 times a day for like 2 weeks straight and send in all that information, and I don't have hypoglycemia. My husband has poked my finger in the middle of me having a seizure and checked my blood sugar, and again, it's not hypoglycemia. My neurologist has told me that basically the only thing that we can do now to go forward to try and find out why this is happening, and we have to find out why, because I've lost my license, as I'm sure other people have. I've lost my job, as well as I'm sure other people have. I have lost my insurance. I have been told not to be by myself. I have 4 children. I'm 26 years old. I'm not ready to decide that my life is made to be babysat for the rest of my life. But what he's told me is that the only way we can go forward with this and try to attempt to find out why this is happening to us is to find a neurologist that will decide to do a study of people that have had the seizures and a study of people that have not had the seizures, and find out what we have in common for the people that have had the seizures, which made us genetically or whatever have these seizures. He personally is not willing to take this on. He has suggested that I write letters to every neurologist I live in Southern California, to every neurologist in Southern California. I have seen some information on the internet about a Dr. Jacqueline, who is a neurologist at the University of Orange County, I want to say. I have called his office, and he said that that is a hoax. He is not looking for people to participate in a research project. But until we can find somebody to decide to take this on, there's not a whole lot we can do. I'm not out to sue my doctor. I'm not out to look for punitive damages or anything like that, because honestly, if the doctor, my doctor who did my gastric bypass had said to me one of the side effects could possibly be seizures, I would have thought to myself, oh, that won't be me, and I would have done the surgery anyway. However, if he would have said one of the side effects could be seizures, and you have this particular blah, 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 which makes you more prone to have the seizures, I just want you to be aware that you are more likely to have the seizures after the gastric bypass, then I would have been able to say, well, wait a second. What happens if I do have these seizures? How do we proceed from there? What would happen to me as a person if I did have these seizures? Would I, if I would have known that I wouldn't have my license and I would have lost my job, which I had a very good job, and that I would have lost, my freedom, as I like to say, I don't know if I would have done it. And if my doctor would have came to me and said, look, you have this specific whatever, and you're more prone to having these seizures, maybe I would have taken a second thought and thought about it a little bit more before just, hey, I want that surgery. I just know that having a gastric bypass is an up-and-coming fad, so to speak. People like doing it. They want to do it. They want it. They see that it gets results. They see that it works. I wanted it. I saw it worked. I didn't want to be fat. I mean, I'm still fat, just not as fat. I just need to know if there's anybody else out there that is willing to help me help look for a neurologist to help us as a whole. I would love your comments. I would love your questions. I would love anything that you could possibly throw at me, because I would, love to do some research and try to find out whatever it is that I can possibly find out to help us. I'd love to find a neurologist that's willing to take this on. I would love to find a gastric bypass surgeon who has said, you know what, I've done 5,000 cases, and out of those 5,000 cases, I've only had 2 that have had seizures. But I'd like to know why those 2 had seizures. I would just really like to find out why this is happening. So again, I'd love the comments. I'd love the input, the thought. It would be greatly appreciated.